So, as has been the theme all year long, we are looking at a weekend full of great college football games. When we look at the Big Ten, we have Ohio State taking on Penn State, a game that I'm very much well intrigued for. Ohio State has continued to get better as the season has gone on. CJ Stroud and that offense have really found themselves, and they are playing really good football. But Penn State may pose a bit of a problem to the Buckeyes, so that's a game I think we all need to look towards. However, that's not the game I really want to hone in on today, because in the SEC, there is a very intriguing matchup between the Florida Gators and the Georgia Bulldogs, one I think we need to break down. Before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe that Georgia will handle Florida this weekend? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions, though small, are massive to content creators such as myself. But with all that being said, let's hop straight into this because I'm likely to lose my voice. I've been very under the weather, so let's go ahead and break all of this down. The most intriguing thing moving into this game is the quarterback situation for both of these teams. With Georgia, JT Daniels looked to be set to have a really solid year, transferring from USC, being an incredibly highly ranked kid coming out of high school in Mater Dei. The entire nation wanted him to go to their institution. Ultimately, going to USC, transferring to Georgia would excite all Georgia Bulldog fans. However, he has not been able to be consistently healthy. And this year, Stetson Bennett has really stepped up in his absence, which begs the question going into this week, do you stick with the hot hand in Stetson Bennett, the guy who's gotten the offense going more so as the weeks have gone on, or do you revert back to JT Daniels, who, even though I think everybody would agree has a much higher ceiling than Stetson Bennett, and that's not a knock on Stetson Bennett, but JT Daniels was a 5-star, incredibly lauded coming out of high school for a reason. Do you go with that individual? Or do you go with the guy that's gotten the reps with the team and that has had that game experience? That's going to be very interesting. I find it hard to take away from Stetson Bennett when he's been the one going out there and succeeding. However, Florida could be a bit of a different beast. So this is going to be a situation we really need to look at because either way you look at it, one guy has been finding success in this offense in JT Daniels' absence, and the other, JT Daniels, otherworldly talented. So Georgia fans do have a bit of a good problem there. If we look at the other side of the aisle, though, at the Florida Gators, Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson could both see playing time in this game, and even though they both have analogous skill sets, they go about achieving it in different ways. Anthony Richardson is incredibly explosive. This young man has supreme athleticism, and he's somebody that Georgia will absolutely look to try and mitigate. His ability is really intriguing. When you watch him play football, you can tell his ceiling is very high. And in fact, if you go back to March when I did my quarterback breakdown video, I actually said I thought there'd be a quarterback competition at Florida and that Emory Jones wouldn't be able to win the job as easily as some had expected because of Anthony Richardson. Fast forward now and we can see Anthony Richardson is otherworldly talented. But aside from the intriguing quarterback situations going into this game, that's not all. When we look at Georgia's defense, they've been number 1 in the country and have been incredibly solid. They're 43rd in the country in offense, but on the flip side, we see a Florida team who's number 38th in the defensive side, but is a top 10 offense coming in at number 9. More specifically, one of the most prolific rushing attacks in all of college football, which creates our first interesting matchup. The Florida rushing attack going against Georgia's rush defense, which Georgia, already having the number 1 defense in the country, has had a very solid rush defense. Against Alabama, Florida ran for 244 yards and did it through a myriad of ways, whether it was from the quarterback or the traditional running back. The way Florida's offense operates creates opportunity for the run. But Georgia has a stout defensive front, and Jordan Davis is playing as high of quality as football as anybody in the country. He has been a really fun player to watch. When you watch him play, watch how he affects the game around him, and that's when he becomes unbelievably impressive. That young man is disruptive and he is must-watch TV. So seeing him in that Georgia front going up against a top 10 rushing attack, sign me up. That already is going to be great. But it's what Florida can do after the rushing attack. The way Dan Mullen runs this current offense with Emory Jones and or Anthony Richardson creates opportunities through the passing game based off of how effective the run game is. They have so many different ways to affect a team in the run game to open up things in the passing game, but if Florida doesn't have success finding the run, this could be a long day. On the flip side, last year, Florida's defense was horrendous. And even though it's not a top 25 unit this year, they've actually made improvements based off of last year's defense, and I have to give my hats off to Grantham, because last year's defense was really, really tough to watch, and they have made some strides this year. That's not to say the job is complete. This is the Florida Gators, and the expectations are at Florida that you are to be an elite unit on every side of the ball, and they are not there yet, but you can see some improvement, so I am very interested to see how that goes. Having the number 38th ranked defense in the country, they're going to look to try and affect the game in any way they can going up against Georgia's 43rd ranked offense. And Georgia is an offense that has dealt with injuries all year long. Heck, Georgia as a team has dealt with injuries all year long, but they've been missing some really key playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. We already talked about JT Daniels. If this Georgia offense can continue to keep pumping, though, this is a team we really have to watch, because if their defense is who we think they are, a very, very greedy unit, not looking to give ground to anybody, and their offense finds themselves, this is going to be a very deadly team. But that's exactly why I say everybody should want to watch this game, because it's going to be so telling. We look at Kirby Smart, who's known for his defense, up against Dan Mullen, who, though he isn't on the hot seat, you know he would love nothing more than to win this game and ruin the Dogs' chance at a perfect season. That would be music to the Florida fans' ears. For Georgia, this game is important because after this game, your only other real test before the SEC championship game is Tennessee. And look, let's not get this mistaken. I'm not saying I think Tennessee's going to stretch Georgia. I'm just saying Tennessee's probably a little bit better than many of us expected, especially based off of how they've been the past few years, and then you take into account all of the legal dealings they are going through and the transfers they had. I'm impressed that Tennessee is even a functioning football program this year, but they do have a very, very deadly rushing attack. Once again, Georgia has that great rushing defense, and that's why this weekend is going to be so telling, because Florida opens up their run game in very, very intriguing fashions through the quarterback and trying to get guys moving laterally. If Florida can find success in the run, they can try and open up the pass, and that's going to be a really interesting thing to see if they can get to that stage. Or if Georgia's stingy #1 defense will be everything it's been advertised. I, for one, cannot wait, especially being an Alabama fan, because I absolutely do think this Georgia defense is stout. But I'm interested in seeing how stout. And this is going to be a pretty good test, because Florida's a team that has had a lot of success running the football. They have two very talented quarterbacks. I'm really interested to see how Dan Mullen goes about attacking the Florida Gators defense. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking, because I think, especially as an Alabama fan, this is must-watch TV, especially to see how it relates for a potential opponent for the Crimson Tide, should they win out and make it to the SEC championship game. That's it. See ya.